2 p.m. Mountain Time has arrived. The trade deadline has passed. And if you guys are seeing this video, it means that the Denver Broncos stood pat and did not make any moves ahead of today's deadline. But before we talk about that, guys, I want to thank the affiliate partner for today's video, Green Gridiron Helmets. Use code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description down below to save off your first purchase on NFL Replica team helmets. From this small one right here to full-size helmets, all teams. They can do custom color schemes, really cool stuff over there. So again, that's code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description down below. And now back to your regularly scheduled content. We did see some moves made ahead of today's trade deadline. We saw guys such as Zadarius Smith, Mike Williams. We saw Preston Smith get traded. We saw Marshawn Lattimore get traded. And we saw Tre'Davious White get traded today. But the Denver Broncos ultimately elected to stay pat. The Broncos did make a move yesterday by trading Baron Browning to the Arizona Cardinals for a 6th-round pick. That was probably the only move that they were realistically going to make in terms of selling. They probably tried to trade Greg Dulcich, but he doesn't have any trade value. I wouldn't be surprised if Dulcich is just flat out cut at this point in time because the Broncos at this point aren't going to play him in the future. Might as well use that roster spot on somebody who can benefit your team more long term. So the Broncos were marketed as somewhat sellers at the deadline for certain pieces such as Browning and Dulcich if anyone was stupid enough to trade for him. But the Broncos ultimately decided not to be buyers at the deadline. I was only a proponent of the Broncos being buyers at the trade deadline if it was a move that could not only help the Broncos this season, but also 2-3 years down the line when this team is going to be hopefully in serious contention for a championship. That is why I thought David Njoku would have been an ideal trade for the Broncos because he would have been a guy that would have helped the Broncos this season in their push to make the playoffs, but also in their next couple of seasons, given the fact that he's only 28 years old. But apparently, the Cleveland Browns were not very willing to part ways with him based on people that I have talked to. So it seems like that was never going to be a realistic option for the Denver Broncos. There were other guys that I might have been interested in, such as Evan Ingram, or, funny enough, Mike Williams because of his ties with Joe Lombardi. I still think that this Broncos team could use another weapon, but the Broncos are comfortable and confident with the guys that they have. Sean Payton said it himself yesterday that Superman's not walking through the door and they want to focus on developing the current roster that they have. I understand that Broncos country is going to be frustrated with that. To an extent, I am as well because we've seen guys like Little Jordan Humphrey struggle. We've seen just a lack of production from that unit as a whole in the wide receiving room. And then tight end wise, I feel like Adam Troutman, he did step up very nicely in the Panthers game, but we saw once again very little production from the tight end room in that Baltimore Ravens game, and it also stems from a run blocking perspective. That's why I wanted a guy like David Njoku because he's effective both as a pass catcher and as a run blocker. So at the end of the day, man, that's probably the only move that I'm a little bit salty that the Broncos didn't make. But overall, I wasn't expecting the Broncos to make any big-time moves, especially after Sean Payton made it clear yesterday that Superman was not walking through the door, and the Broncos ultimately elect to stay pat at the trade deadline. All right, Broncos country, let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Broncos not making any trades outside of the Baron Browning move ahead of the deadline? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And before we get out of here, guys, I want to tell you about the other affiliate partner for today's video, Whitebeard Signworks. Use code BS30, link also in the description below, to save $30 off your first purchase on NFL LED team logo signs just like this really cool sign behind me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.